just a heads up, there are spoilers about the Zelda franchise sprinkled throughout this podcast. Timestamps for topics, spoilers, and corrections are in the description. Hello, and welcome to episode 49 of the Roll Jump Media Podcast. I am joined this time by my co hosts, Jose and Luis, and my good friend, Cassandra. What is up, guys? How's it going on this Saturday morning?
It's good. um, kind of hot. It's been a while since we've done this. It's nice to be back.
You can say that again, dude.
It's been years.
Yep. Yes, it
Good
is.
Saturday so far.
Good Saturday. Very good, very good. So, indeed, it is good to be back. Today, we're just going to be talking about Zelda. Zelda's going to take up most of this podcast. We're going to be talking about a plethora of things about it, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, the series in general. So, it should be a good time. And before we do that, we do have a couple of things to get into. First things first is that I want to, for the beginning of this podcast, to do a recap of the last episode because unfortunately I lost the footage of that episode because I did not download it from Twitch in time. So it's just gone to the ether, unfortunately. I'm sorry, everybody, about that.
Rip.
So, just a quick recap of what we went over in episode 48. We did share what kind of games we've been playing. I remember Luis brought a whole bunch of games, so I feel particularly bad about that one because, yeah,
All gone.
yeah. So we did that. We went over the draft, our draft. We also went over Monster Hunter Stories 2, the reviews on that one. We went over Assassin's Creed Infinity and our takes on their new model or new delivery method that they're going to be delivering Assassin's Creed through. And we also talked about Nintendo Switch OLED. And overall, about that, we were kind of meh on it. So that kind of sums up what we felt about the OLED model. Um, if you want to know more about what we thought about on that podcast, feel free to give us a comment and we will reply to you and have a conversation through there. Doo-doo-doo. That's good. All right. So before we talk about what we've been playing, we talk about it. Um, I would say we talk about it relatively briefly so we can get into Zelda. Let's go ahead and talk about our draft and see how what we're doing here since it's been a while since we checked in on it. Okay, so I do have the draft pulled up. It seems like the next games to be coming out that have been drafted by either me, Luis, or Jose are 12 minutes. 12 minutes is going to be coming out in less than 2 weeks on the 19th. Psychonauts 2, drafted by Luis. 12 minutes was drafted by Jose. Psychonauts 2 is going to come out on October 25th. Then we have Wario World Get It Together after that. Life is Strange True Colors after that. Deathloop, Kena Bridge of Spirits, and so on and so forth. Currently, the standing is as follows. 5 games have released on my end, and I have a 74 total fantasy points. For Jose, 3 games have released for him. He has 2 will not releases on his roster that has to be addressed at some point, and he has 36 total points. And Luis has no um, releases that will not come out this year, and he has 4 games that have come out, and he has 55 total points.
I didn't know Horizon Forbidden West had already been pushed back.
I know that was a surprise to a lot of people.
Damn.
Hmm.
I don't even think did they made it official. It was sort of
Um, uh-huh.
like a like I don't know, like a statement, I think, from the president, no? Or like the CEO.
Herman Holst.
Mm, I could be wrong though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, On this, for our purposes on this draft, it says will not
Right.
release next to it. So that's gonna have to be swapped out, and Stray's gonna have to be swapped out. Unfortunately, the kitty game on Jose's side.
Yes.
On my side, I'm gonna have to swap out Sifu, which is saddening for me, but I'm willing to wait. And then Luis, as calculated as ever, no games yet to be announced for next year.
That's right.
Very good.
So how do you get points?
All right, so for this,
Depending on, oh,
oh, go
yeah, go
ahead,
ahead,
Luis.
Ray.
No, 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 you can
No,
go.
no, you go
Yeah.
ahead. No, no, you go ahead.
All right, all right, all right. Yeah, so how this works is that I believe so you choose games, and then based on the score they get on OpenCritic, it has to score above a 70 for you to get points. If it's a 70 flat, you get 0 points. If it's above a 70, you get points for it being above 70. So,
Okay.
yeah, for example, let's say for me, I drafted Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. It got an 81 on OpenCritic, so I got 11 points for that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
hmm And I believe if you get above 90, it multiplies it like a 1.5 or 2. I'm not sure how that works, but pretty cool.
And it does it automatically for you.
Yeah, it's just we just have fun and choose games basically.
Hmm.
All right, so that's the status of our draft currently. Do you guys have any modifications or changes that you would like to make to your roster?
Not at the moment,
Not at the
but I need
moment.
to start thinking about it.
Yeah. How about you, Luis?
Yeah,
Any
same.
changes?
I, yeah, I think I'll stick with mine.
Okay.
No, I don't have any changes to make.
Okay. So we're gonna leave the our rosters and drafts just how it is right now, and let's go ahead and move on to what we've been playing. Let's go ahead and try to keep this pretty brief so that we can maximize our time talking about Zelda. And Luis, go ahead and start it off, my guy.
All right. So just really quick, on my 2DS, I've been playing the. I had already mentioned it. I played a little bit of what's it, puzzles and giants, I think.
That's the one
Um,
from last week. That's the one I was sad. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, we lost
that
him
was one
talking
of the
about
ones
that.
that I was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been playing the Nintendo version, I guess. Yeah, like the crossover. Yeah,
hmm
it's just a fun puzzle game. Just sort of like playing it when you have free time. It's not like a there's no story or so it's just like a for the gameplay, I guess. And on the Switch, I've been playing Monster Hunter Stories too. Wings of
Nice.
Ruin. So I've been putting in some hours on that whenever possible. I haven't been gaming a lot this past couple weeks. Um, I don't know, like I feel like I don't have time anymore. But I do try to play a couple of hours at least, or 1 hour a day, when I'm not too tired. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. I haven't touched my PS5 in a while.
Your true colors are starting to show, sir. Okay, so that's gonna be all from you for this week.
hmm
All right, awesome, awesome. Jose, if you'd like to share what you've been playing.
Yeah, I'll keep this short. Um,
Okay.
I haven't played anything in the last
Oh, nothing at all?
no. Um,
Wow.
does Pokemon Go count?
I
I
say
really
it
haven't.
counts. Count
I mean, I guess,
it.
but yeah, I haven't touched my Switch. Well, it's our Switch. Um, for in a while, it's kind of sad. It's a tragic story. Um,
We
I know
take a
that
break from this podcast and you stop gaming.
I know, right? Um, but yeah, it's a gaming podcast, and here I am telling you that I haven't played. But yeah, I haven't played anything. Um, I think the last like game I guess that I played was Apex when we played together for the stream.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, there's a whole stack of games waiting to be played. I really want to get into Hades. I want to play Hades. That's like on top of my list. Um, Pokemon Snap came out with a new update, so I wasn't expecting that, and
Oh, nice.
it's a nice surprise. So hopefully I'll get back into that. But but yeah, who knows? Who knows what the future holds for me?
That is all good, friends. It's all good. Like I think don't feel like you don't belong on this podcast because you haven't played anything. You know, you have a lot of knowledge about video games, so that's what really counts.
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. I'll go ahead and let my guest talk about what she's been playing. I'm sure that it might overlap into our further discussion. So if you want to keep it brief, that's cool.
That is right. And I know I will not keep it brief. Just kidding. I think I think my humble opinion, they should be excommunicated from this because they haven't touched a video game and it's
That's
Zelda
funny.
Day and they haven't touched a Zelda game. I prepared. Right before Skyward Sword came out, I started playing Breath of the Wild again
Oh,
and I was looking for the little Korok seeds because that's pretty much all I have to do there. Although I never finished my DLC because I never figured out a way to get it back on there, so I'll probably just buy it again. So I have that if I want to
ah,
keep playing Breath of the Wild. But
Nintendo,
yeah,
Nintendo, and
I'll give Nintendo their Zelda money. I don't care. I don't care.
I
Ray's
like how
like
she.
over there like disappointed, like judging, but I don't care.
I kind of like how you distinguish it as Zelda money. It's not even Nintendo money. It's only for Zelda.
Yeah, that's true. That's it for me. Like I see something with Zelda on it and I'm like, "Oh, well, I guess it's time to pre-order."
You gotta you gotta respect the love that you have for this franchise. I do.
that's right.
Yep.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and the
Hmm.
Joy Cons. How many Joy Cons did you get? Let the people know.
I have like three Zelda Joy-Cons.
You see the comment scalper. Yeah.
They're for me. One's for me, one's for my brother, and the other one, uh, it
I'm
might
gonna
be a
sell you that.
gift.
No.
No, I'm not gonna be a scalper. I'm not
Yeah.
disgusting.
How many do you have, Luis?
Ooh,
We have four.
See, he has four. He's just, and he hasn't even touched Skyward Sword. He's a
I
scalper.
mean,
that's
Yeah, so
Everyone
crazy, dude.
trashing us in the comments.
Is it still in the wrapper, Skyward Sword?
yeah, I think so.
wow.
It's there, waiting for me.
Whew.
I have no words.
Speechless.
My man is playing Monster Hunter Stories 2 over Skyward Sword. I don't know if I would have seen the day.
It's because I feel like that's the thing with me. I start a game and I feel like I can't let it down because then I'm not gonna go back to it.
Are you
I
enjoying
should have.
yourself?
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, cool. Oh, you should have what? Go ahead.
So I was gonna say like I should maybe I should have waited to start Monster Hunter Stories after Skyward Sword.
Ah, yeah. It's all right though. You're playing a good game.
Indeed.
Not as good as Skyward Sword.
All right, all right.
I mean, it's possible. How about
Okay.
you, Ray? What you been playing?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna go ahead and get into. Thank you, sir. Uh, two games. Two games really. First game, of course, makes its return. Apex Legends. Uh, Apex Legends came out with a season 10, and along that came changes to the World's Edge map and a new character called Seer. And I'm really liking this, what I played so far. Granted, I've only played a little bit, few matches, but Seer is really cool. His gameplay is right up my alley. He's a scout, so his abilities allow you to see enemies and know their positions, which is something that gels well with how I like to play. So really cool with that. And also he's a black character, which is really nice representation. And
He's the one with the cowboy hat, right?
yeah, he has the Kung Lao cowboy hat. Yeah.
Mm. I saw pictures of him.
Mhm. Yeah. So Apex still doing his thing, and I have been playing Scarlet Nexus. So I'm continuing to make progress through there. Enjoying building my bonds with my teammates and seeing their stories unfold and having fun with the combat. So I plan on completing that game. It's going to be high in the priority list of the things I'm going to be playing. So good stuff. Good stuff all around. Enjoying my PS5. And now, are you guys ready to transition into the purely Zelda part of the podcast?
So
Let's
am I gonna
go.
talk by myself?
Uh,
It's all Zelda, not just Skyward Sword.
right, right. How are we going to start this off? How about just so that the people have a background to our experiences with Zelda? Let's go around the call and share your like what Zeldas you played and yeah, just say what Zeldas you played so far. We can keep it simple so, for now.
Should I start or who should
Yeah,
start?
we'll keep the same order.
All right. So the Zeldas that I played, um, well, I think the first Zelda that I ever played was Ocarina of Time, and that's my favorite Zelda. And I think for that same reason, there's a lot of nostalgia behind it. It's just it's the perfect game. And, yeah, that was my first experience with Zelda. I then played, um, I think it was Majora's Mask, which is a sequel to Ocarina of Time. I played Link to the Past, the Game Boy Advance um, version of the game. Um, and that game actually came with the Legend of Zelda: The Four Swords, and that one I was never able to play because I think you needed it was a multiplayer game, and I think you needed like I don't know like four other Game Boys, and well we didn't have the money and we didn't have friends, so
Oh,
we couldn't. Oh, so I was never able to play that, but after that it was Wind Waker. Uh, might be top three Zelda games right there with Wind Waker. And Twilight Princess. I think after that I played every Zelda game. I think. Well, in the like home consoles, and Wind Waker, Twilight Princess,
uh-huh.
Skyward Sword, um, and Breath of the Wild, um, and then on the handheld, I think on the handheld, I I played maybe most of them. There's some games I haven't been able to play. Link's Awakening, it came out 2 years ago. I was finally able to play the game, um, even though it was a remake, and so I was able to play that. The Santa Glass I was able to play. Spirit Tracks is one of those games that I was never able to play. Again, poor kid. we didn't have money to get those. Um, and then I think, well, when Switch Online came out, uh, I I tried the first Zelda, um, the original one.
Hmm.
Uh, I haven't really passed the game, but I tried it. I don't know how well it aged, the game. Um, and we can have a discussion about that. But so I played that. Um, but yeah, the Minish Cap. I played the Minish Cap. Um, I think one of the most underrated games, Zelda games. Mm, what else? But yeah, like I think the games that I haven't played is the Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, and hopefully we get remakes of those um, soon. Uh,
Soon.
yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
And then I already mentioned Spirit Tracks, Triforce Heroes for the 3DS. I have it. I haven't been able to play it, so I'll soon be able to play that. Mm. And then you have like the spin-off games, right? Like Link's. What is it? What is it? Link's Crossbow uh, Training or something. I never played that on the Wii. I never played the Tingle games. I think either both of them were Japan only. So, uh, but yeah, that's pretty much my history with Zelda,
Nice.
the goat.
Yeah. And you played. I always thought about the Warriors games as well. That was those count too, right?
All right, the Warriors game. Yes, that's true. On the Switch Definitive Edition. But yeah, and as I listen to my peers in this podcast, I'll probably remember what else I played.
Yeah. I think you went over quite a bit of them, so I'm sure you refreshed the memories of people that needed a refresher like me. All right, Jose. Oh, are you done for now?
Yeah, so I think that's my what I played.
Okay.
All right. So for me, it's kind of pretty much the same journey, I guess, that we just talked about. The same games in that order. Um, we kind of, since we always had to share a console, um, it was always having to play the same game at the same time. Um, so yeah, I would say from a 1 to 10, I'd probably I'll probably be like a, I don't know, 9.5 um, fan. Um, Legend of Zelda is definitely one of the gaming franchises that um, defines, I guess, defined me as a quote unquote gamer. Um, it's probably one of the reasons why I'm such a Nintendo fan more than a Sony fan or an Xbox fan. Because I don't know, like it's been part of my life since I was like a
Hmm.
kid. Um, and Ocarina of Time being that first game that I experienced. I mean, it's a pretty huge um, standard, you know. Uh, and so yeah, personally, I think it's one of the best franchises in gaming. It's definitely one of the best franchises from Nintendo, and yeah, I mean, I like to think I'm a I'm a pretty solid Legend of Zelda fan. Um, my favorite Zelda game, I think Liz mentioned it was Ocarina of Time. For me, it's between that and Majora's Mask. Um, and I mean, I have my reasons for why sometimes it fluctuates,
Hmm.
but yeah, I've like I mentioned, I've played most of the games that Luis mentioned. Um, from Ocarina of Time to the Warriors game, the most recent Warriors game that came out. Um, but yeah, that's my Zelda overview, introduction, if you will.
Okay, Jose, thanks a lot, man. And
No worries.
now, yeah.
Like,
All
let
right.
me get my popcorn.
Oh snap! Here we go. Nah. All right, Cassandra, so that you're up next.
I played them all.
Next.
You have
No, I haven't. I
like oh,
I think I have like a similar like order. Started with Ocarina of Time. Actually, I started watching my brother play games because he wouldn't let me play them, and he would get mad when I would play because it takes me a long time to play games and like to figure out what I'm doing. Like I just told him the other day I was playing Skyward Sword and I was like in a temple and I was like I couldn't figure out what to do. And then I just kind of like stopped playing for the day and I was just like sitting there like thinking about the game because I like thinking about the puzzles, like all the things that you have to do. And like it takes me a while, I'm not gonna lie. Like and
Hmm.
then I was like going to bed and then I was like, oh, I know what I have to do in the puzzle. And I got all excited and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna play right now because it's kind of late. But next morning I played and I was like, yeah, I know what to do. Um, but yeah, it always took me a long time to play the Zelda games, especially because that's the whole shtick, with the dungeons. There's a lot of cool puzzles. So I started Ocarina of Time when I was a kid, and that was like the running joke that it took me like 7 years, as long as long as it took like Link's timeline. Because I didn't beat it until I was like a teenager. I picked it up again, and that's when I finally finished it. And that's when I also started playing Majora's Mask. Um, I think in between though, I did play because I had like my DS, so I would play the DS games. I played like Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass. Um, what else? What other games? I have. I think it's Four Swords Adventure, but it's still sealed. I like never
Wow.
tried playing it. Um, but yeah, I played like all the mainline ones. Like for the GameCube, we had Twilight Princess, and then we also had like a Master Quest one. I think that's where I played Majora's Mask first, because it came
was
with
it
like
great?
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask like on a disc.
Mm.
And then so then after that, Twilight Princess, right? Wind Waker was somewhere in there. I think I remember Wind Waker being like the first ones I really like put a lot of time into it. I can't remember if it was before or after I finished my Ocarina of Time gameplay, but that was like one of our first consoles, like that was actually ours, like a GameCube. So we spent a lot of time playing that one. Um, and then what else came after that? Skyward Sword. So I like that's the thing. I don't remember playing Skyward Sword. I know I played it, but I hated it because like the motion controls are so difficult.
Mm.
But they had a really pretty Wii Gold control. Um, so now going through it, I'm looking at the game and I'm like, I don't remember all of this. I don't remember the end of it. Like it must have been something that I saw my brother play, or maybe he helped me through the end of the dungeons. But then it's like a whole new game for me right now, so I'm enjoying it. Damn. So what came after Skyward Sword?
First of all,
Was it
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild was gonna be the Wii U Zelda game, right? And then it just kind of like got like
Mhm.
surprise. It's now a Switch game as well. So yeah, and then all the little like the re-releases in between, like Link's Awakening and like the spin-off games, the Hyrule Warrior games are really fun. I really like them. I have like all three of them. Mm, is it three? There's like four of them now because there's the original, the one for the 3DS, the definitive
Legends.
edition,
Mhm.
and then the Age of Calamity one.
All right. Yeah, it's four.
Yeah, so I have all four of them and I enjoy playing all of them a lot.
Very
Some
cool.
really great designs for characters in those games.
The Zelda design on Hyrule Warriors has to be like the prettiest one. I really like
Yeah.
how intricate it is because it's like a mashup
Mhm.
of all of the Zeldas. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like you have like the I feel like the model is like Twilight Princess Zelda. Um, but her costume is like really nice. Anyways, um, what else? I also tried playing the NES, the Zeldas on there. I tried playing like the original Zelda and I didn't finish it. It's kind of hard. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like I guess we're just so
It's
used.
a little confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing and like back in the day, I think that was like how games were, so it was like easy to play, but now I'm like looking at it with my 3D Zelda brain and I'm like, what is this? Like it's I had something it's something that I have to go back to for sure. There's a few that I have to go back to. I also Cadence of Hyrule, I never finished that one. Cause it's like it's definitely like I think it would be a funner experience like as a multiplayer. Cause by yourself it's kind of hard. But yeah, waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 now.
So so are a lot of other people too. Man.
It's gonna be a
Uh,
great game. It'll be worth the wait.
is it my turn?
Tell us. Tell us the two games you
Yes.
played.
Yeah, you're pretty much on point. So I'll start with the ones that I haven't finished. See, I guess I did play a little bit of Cadence of Hyrule. I wouldn't really count that, but I could just kind of dabbled in it, so we'll just kind of acknowledge it and move on. um, Majora's Mask. I was having a really good time with Majora's Mask in the beginning, but I think I think I reached my Zelda BS threshold, like the puzzle threshold, in like a certain point, like around the Zora area, and I couldn't figure out what to do, so I kind of just stopped playing it since then. It's been like months, so maybe I'll get back into it, maybe I won't. So I know Majora's Mask is one of your guys' favorite stuff, so I'll probably try a little bit harder to get past that hump. And um, okay, so the two that I've actually completed. First Zelda game I ever completed was Twilight Princess, and I believe yeah, it was something that caught my interest, and I got my sister to go along with it as well. And I think that Twilight Princess is a really good game. I've been revisiting it on the streams a few times, and the times that I've have had revisited it, I really like how it's structured. Like you get introduced to the characters in the town, and you get to have an attachment to the people that are actually part of Link's life, and I think that's really cool. I know some people don't really like that, like they say it's a little drawn out before you actually get into the actual adventure of what Link is going to do. But I really like the format of Twilight Princess and its themes. So that one's going to be a really big standout to me. And the second one that I've fully completed was Ocarina of Time. I know that Ocarina of Time is one of the best games, if not the best game ever made. So I had to try to finish that one, and I did. I played it on the Wii U Virtual Console, and not the Wii U. I never had a Wii U. The Wii Virtual Console, and I really like Ocarina of Time. Of course, it hasn't aged well in some areas, like the controls. But I think how the game is structured, how the world is presented, is really still really engaging. You just can't. I don't think it's that hard to come. to it as a modern gamer as long as you put a little bit of effort to try and immerse yourself into the game that it is for its time, because it's pretty much a precursor to a lot of 3D action 3D like adventure action adventure games that we get today. It's just a little bit more archaic. So I think everybody should try to play it and just relive some of that history that Nintendo graced us with for all the really good games that came after it. So yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed both of those games a lot. I don't think I would go back and play Ocarina of Time again, though. I mean, it's a good like one-time thing, especially if you're not attached to it. But if you go back again, I don't know if you'll get that much enjoyment out of it. At least for me, a remake would be really nice. Something like a, I'm sure it's not going to reach the same levels as Final Fantasy VII remake kind of status, but some kind of remake that gets rid of the unnecessary like frustrations and just makes it a streamlined experience. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I might have played a little bit of Warriors with you guys. I don't think I did. I might have just seen it. So yeah, that's pretty much my history with Zelda.
You need more Zelda in your life.
I think you
Maybe,
do.
maybe.
Gotta play Skyward Sword. Big Sword.
Oh man, now that I think about it, of how I just articulated my like what I like, I think Skyward Sword would be a really good get for me. Okay, so we went
Breath
over
of the
the.
Wild, 100% run win.
That's not happening. Oh man. Oh, Breath of the Wild. I forgot about Breath of the Wild. Damn.
Blasphemy.
Yeah. A perfect way for me to sum up Breath of the Wild is just I had a really good introductory like from the intro to the middle of the game I had a good time because the world is just that engrossing and really cool. But after that, you kind of that like newness factor falls off and kind of things start to like become like I don't know samey in a way, like just going to different like places way over there, using your little paraglider, riding your horse. I don't know. It just feels like a little barren, and I wasn't that engaged personally after like the midpoint. So, but I think Breath of the Wild is a good game for sure. And that'll do it for me for for my history of Zelda. So obviously I'm the one that is the noob here compared to everybody else. So this should be interesting. This should be an interesting discussion. Um, I think the more like fluid way to handle this is probably to talk about Breath of the Wild too. Um, so based on things you like about Zelda, your experiences, what do you want Breath of the Wild to deliver? Do you want it to improve in certain areas? Do you want them to go in a direction that Zelda hasn't gone before? What would you expect from Breath of the Wild for you to be happy that it exists?
Well, for me personally, I think I think it's a pretty big deal even before playing it, just because there's very few times that we get a direct sequel for these games. Um, so I remember when Breath of the Wild 2 was announced, um, like that little teaser, like I was kind of shook because like I don't know, it's very I don't think we've well except for like maybe the first two, but I don't think we've ever gotten like a direct sequel like that where it's like the same link, um, like the same world, the same lore within that game. So right off the bat, I think they're switching it up in that sense, just because it's more to that specific story in that point in the timeline. Um, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about them uh, giving themselves the opportunity to build upon that world.
Hmm.
Because one of the things about the Zelda games for me is that they're such great games that you kind of want to
keep exploring that world, or want to stick a little longer with that Link, or that Zelda or whatever. Um, like I sure would like another game that focuses on Ocarina of Time Link. Like that'd be a dream.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and so that's what I see Breath of the Wild 2 being. It's like, oh, I we get to experience, Breath of the Wild Link and Breath of the Wild Zelda, um, and see how how they've grown, or what new challenges awaits them. So I'm excited about that. Um, uh, in terms of what I want to see them bring, something new. Um, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Breath of the Wild was so groundbreaking, in the franchise, that it's kind of hard for me to imagine what else they could possibly bring in. I would like them to bring back dungeons, in some way. Um, just I don't know. Like I really miss the boss aspect of Breath of the Wild, um, and I know that the the Ganons, the Blight, Ganons, those were kind of like the bosses, um, and they were kind of hard. But I don't know. Like I've always liked the different, that expectation of, oh, what's the boss gonna look like, or you know what what gimmick are we gonna use in this, like this item that we got in this temple, we're clearly gonna use it for the boss, and how is that gonna work? Um, and so I really do hope that they bring back bosses in some way, dungeons, um, and I mean, we all had our hopes, for Zelda being playable. They kind of seem to just kind of, you know let us, well, not let us down, but I guess it's not, in their plans to make Zelda playable. Based on the few, footage or teasers that we've gotten. But I mean, hope is still there. I don't know. Maybe they surprise us. But yeah, I don't know. Well, we shall see. Those are like the things that I kind of am looking forward to.
nice, nice. You did bring up something. I know others want to share the. I'll let everybody else share their opinion on what they would expect from Breath of the Wild 2, or what they want from it, before I present the second question to you guys. So let's go ahead and keep going around the call.
Yeah, so I'll go next. Just really quick. Basically, what Jose said. I was just thinking, I guess, to summarize it, I want to see, Breath of the Wild, uh, with dungeons. Um, and we've seen, from the trailers or the footage that they've shown, how they, I think the way they want to expand this world is, now you can go to the skies, right? And I don't know, there's been rumors that maybe you can go underground. So I don't know, we'll see. So I think, I think that's a really smart way to keep this world fresh. Um, but yeah, I think the Zelda, uh, dungeons are a huge part of like Zelda, right? Like when you think Zelda, you think dungeons.
Yeah,
So and we sort of had that in Breath of the Wild with the beast, but it's not really the same. You don't get the item that you need to beat the boss in this dungeon to finally face this boss, right? And there's this epic battle or whatever. Um, so I think they could, do that, or I hope they do that for Breath of the Wild too. And and there's various dungeons in this world, and you can go to, whichever one, right? You can go, you feel like, doing the hardest one first, you can go to that dungeon first. There's freedom there, hopefully. Um, but yeah, and I'm just interested to see what they do with like the story. One thing, there's a timeline, right, of like Zelda. I don't know how, cohesive the timeline is. I don't know if, Nintendo is just like, oh yeah, it's, they're all related, and it's like whatever. I don't know. But I do hope that they sort of start, you know making connections, here and there, like, oh well, this world, is connected to, or this link is connected to, or it's going to be connected to a future link that we already saw, or it was connected to a past link. And things, and for us to see that, to actually see that kind of lore, it'd be really cool. Um, and so, I mean, and that's just a hope, I guess. It's not really necessary. Never really bothered me, that like maybe the games weren't connected, but it'd
Mm.
be really cool. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I expect from Breath of the Wild 2. I think it's gonna be Breath of the Wild with dungeons.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that happening for sure. Okay. Cassandra, are you there? Would you like to share your hopes for Breath of the Wild 2?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, I'm pulling ideas from what they both said. The whole I'm really interested to see how they would pull that off. Like I could see them going through like, oh, now there's like dungeons that you have to go through, like that kind of storyline. Like, oh, because you've beaten all the shrines in Hyrule or whatever, and now, oh my gosh, like you're going to the sky and underground or whatever. I feel like that's doable, but then that's like something I hear a lot from like hardcore like Zelda fans, like traditional Zelda fans, that they want the dungeons, that they want that like the linear storyline. How are they gonna do like the whole item thing now? Like I feel like
Mm,
that was such a central part of the previous games, and now it's like, oh, Link's items break all the time. So like, how are you gonna do that? Unless they completely change that dynamic, or maybe just have like a few like permanent items, and then have like all the other ones that you can like mess around with.
mm,
Mm. But I'm really excited about this story, honestly. Like I just like Jose mentioned before, like there's never really been like a direct sequel unless you count like those original ones. But this is like an actual like fleshed out like a Zelda story. And it's really interesting to see where they're gonna take it. Just cause like okay, like Age of Calamity was like such a surprise, and it was like such an interesting like prequel to Breath of the Wild. And
That's
and
a
then like having them re-release Skyward Sword again, Ray, I'm gonna pitch this so hard to you
mm.
because like just it's like the Zelda story, you have to play it to be able to understand the other games. And I think it's like a good refresher going into Breath of the Wild too, because I think they're gonna incorporate Skyloft in some way. Because literally those screenshots, I mean the video of like Link falling, it's
yeah.
like you playing Skyward Sword. It's like the same mechanic and everything. So I'm just like really interested to see where the story goes. And like the whole Zelda timeline, like I'm gonna be real, I don't. My brother and I were going over it the other day because we have like the Hyrule, like the book, um, and they've kind of like flip flopped on it here and there, but that's doable. It's like whatever. I'm not like a hardcore like, oh, the timeline said this, oh, blah 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 blah. Like nah, like whatever. Um, I think this game is gonna have to deal a lot with time again. I think of like the major Zelda games like Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time, and they're all dealing with time in some way, like with
Yeah.
um with like a portal. And I really think they're gonna do that with Breath of the Wild too. And I don't know, I'm always hoping for the playable Zelda as well. And if they could incorporate that in some way, like it would just make the game, it would be a game changer again, you know? But we want it. We want it, Nintendo. I'm starting
Yeah.
the campaign. Starting the campaign right now. I mean, maybe it's too late because they probably already finished the game, um, but yeah, or yeah, yeah. The Sheik discussion that you brought up before, Ray, that's a really good discussion to have, but it doesn't really pertain to Breath of the Wild too. So
Yeah.
To add to like the playable Zelda, I feel like Age of Calamity kind of try to explore that a little bit. Like when I played it, it did give me like that. I think it does a good job at kind of like teasing what a Zelda game would feel like. Um, and I mean, and I don't know. I think I mentioned it, but I really I really did like Age of Calamity 4 just how central Zelda felt. Like this actually felt like I don't know, Zelda. I don't know, like we see a lot of character development, and I know there's people that are not fans of this Zelda, of Breath of the Wild Zelda. Um, but I don't know. I really did enjoy just how she transitions, into a more like confident, I guess, Zelda. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like playing Edge of Calamity really did make like it reinforced that want, of like all the possibilities of what a Zelda centered game would give us. Like all the I don't know the drama and emotion and but yeah, hopefully in the future.
I can see that. Jose is such a stand for like female, like powerful, like women. Like he was a hardcore Sansa stan, and he's like a major Zelda stan. Like he even talked me down when I was like insulting Zelda, you know. Um, but I feel
It's
like
just
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, well, I don't know. I like to root for underdogs, and so it's like I don't know, like okay, Zelda is weak or Zelda is crying, but I mean I don't know, like she's new at this, like she wasn't asked, she didn't ask to be the chosen, savior of Hyrule,
Hmm.
um, and I feel like in the past games, like in Ocarina of Time, for example, we see Zelda as a kid, and but then we jump to Zelda as like a lot more grown up. We don't see that transition. We don't see that in between. I'm
Hmm.
sure Ocarina of Time Zelda had her struggles, and I'm sure she had her moments where she cried and like, oh, what am I doing? Um, and I think Breath of the Wild allows us to see that those moments in between where it's like Zelda struggling and Zelda not being able to awaken her powers and Zelda being like, what the hell is wrong with me? And I think that was very refreshing. Um, just being able to, I think, for the first time, being able to witness Zelda's development, Zelda's growth. Um, Twilight Princess, the first time we see Zelda, she's already the princess, in this hooded, really cool, badass hooded. It's one of my favorite moments on that game. But again, it's already Zelda, developed Zelda, grown up, like knowing what she had to do. But I'm sure she herself as well in that game had her struggles, and she also had to like, you know, she was panicking and like, what am I supposed to do? So it's just, I guess, in this Breath of the Wild game, they allowed us to see Zelda struggling and Zelda reaching that point of badass Zelda that we get to see in other games.
I think it's always been there, but like you said, it's never been like that direct, like that fleshed out, where you actually see her thoughts and her emotions like play out
Hmm.
on the game.
Yeah.
Um, again, I'm going back to Ocarina of Time, and like you never, well, okay, Ocarina of Time, you see Sheik in action, but it's like you
Hmm.
never
Mm,
see like the behind the scenes with Zelda, and that's why
Right.
like if they could do like a Resident Evil style, like you get to choose your character in Resident Evil games, right? Like you could choose if you want to be the
Yes.
guy or whatever, or like Joe Valentine or whatever.
Chris Redfield. Hmm.
So they could definitely do that. Like even if they don't want to include her like in the main storyline, like do I would say do that, include her in the main storyline. But even if they did like another like, oh, here's a side B and you can play as Zelda, you know? Because that's another thing that you had mentioned. Like I always love the whole open world, like the worlds that they created in Zelda games. But then it's like you beat the game and then you can't really do anything else,
Hmm.
or you beat the game
Yeah.
and they send you back to where you were right before the boss, and
Oh
it's
my
like
God. Yes.
yeah, and it's like I always wanted to see like more. Like I wanted to know what happens, you know, like what if they actually made you do a side quest after you beat the boss, you know, something, anything. So I feel like there's a lot that they could do. And I wonder if there really I wonder if there really is a thing about like them being scared of having a female protagonist. Like I don't know if that's like a deal at all in Japan. I because I'm trying to think of other Nintendo games, and it's like, do they have prominent female protagonists?
Samus.
Samus, but then you see her as like not Zero Suit Samus, like
Yeah.
Metroid. No, she's not a Metroid, but her suit, she's in her suit all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, I think there's something to be said there about that. Uh, and I think just in general, I feel like Nintendo, they're very hesitant to like switch it up when it comes to like their title characters. Like, I don't know, like they're very iffy, I think, about that. I mean, I don't know how long it took for them to focus on other characters besides Mario, or to give Luigi his own, titular game. Um, but I don't know. I feel like they're very like careful, and then they don't want to take risks. Um, but we want it. Like the demand is there.
I know they went big with Breath of the Wild. Like they completely changed the landscape of a Zelda game.
Hmm.
So like just do it. Like jump off the deep end. Like give us the Zelda. You know, I don't I don't know what they're trying to show us with the teasers. I feel like they never. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been. I can't think of like Breath of the Wild like teasers. Um, and I know they said that they didn't even want to give us the title because it would give away a big part of the game. I just want it. I want it now. I want to see what we get.
It'd be cool if they did. Well, I don't know if you guys. Well, I don't think you guys have. Metal Gear Solid 2. Um,
Oh,
the thing
okay.
about Metal Gear Solid 2, they, Snake is the main character, and so I don't know if you can hear voices behind me,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Snake is the main character of the franchise, right? And in that game, you start, Snake is doing like a mission, like, just like any normal Metal Gear game, and then that's for like what, the first 20 minutes, and then in the game, something happens, and you stop playing as Snake, and then for the rest of the game, or after that, you start playing as Raiden, which is another character,
Hmm.
and then after that, for the rest of the game, you're Raiden, and I remember that was like very, um, it was controversial. Well, not controversial, but people were like, uh, they weren't expecting it. That in a Metal Gear Solid game, you weren't the main character wasn't Snake, right? Like it changed, like Kojima sort of changed like the expectation.
Right.
Um, so right now, when you guys were talking about that, like it'd be really cool, right? Like, I don't know, like you turn up Breath of the Wild 2, and then you play as Link for a few minutes, and then I don't know, out of a sudden, there's a cutscene, and I don't know, Link is trapped or something, and then you wake up as Zelda, and then you start playing as Zelda. Um, that'd be like really cool. And I don't know, like just thinking about it makes me
The
makes me want to
chills.
makes me want it more. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it'd be cool, and it's like just it'd be very like, I guess, brave. I wouldn't call it brave, but like for Nintendo, I guess, to do it, and it will take like a lot of um eh, balls, I guess, to do it. But it'd be cool, and it'd be I think that would be like, it would change. I guess it would change the game in like the Zelda franchise, because now it's just not Link. It's, and now there's Zelda, and there's more stories to tell about Zelda, and what she can be. I don't know what the adventures she's been going through, and what she has to do, and all those things, right? Because I don't know, like throughout the franchise, yeah, Link is the hero, but you know what has Zelda been doing? And it's, I don't know. I feel like there's so much potential to show Zelda as this character that she also made an impact in the story, or in the lore, in the history of Hyrule, and all these things. Um, it's really, it would be cool. It would be cool.
It's the Legend of Zelda,
Yes.
not Link.
Yeah. Exactly.
I
Yeah,
I
more.
that yeah, you just yeah, like you said, like it would open up like so many opportunities for the franchise itself. And I don't know, I feel like it does have to the whole protagonist like gender does have to deal. It's like a big deal.
Right.
And just like the way that women aren't centered in games. Like I like how they always say that like Link is a he's like a he doesn't speak because like you project your own thoughts and feelings and everything onto Link, right? So you can kind of imagine yourself as Link, like you're the hero, right? Because there's sometimes where he like goes up to someone and like they answer like supposedly a question that Link might have posed. So it's like you're imagining the question that was told you, right? So it's like, where's the representation for women, yo? Like, come on. I feel like the gaming industry is like really toxic, which is I don't know if you had talked about it in your podcast already, but like some other studio is getting like major flack for that, right? Like it's like
Hmm.
issue like it's like an issue from top to bottom, you know? So
Right.
I think it would be huge for someone for a company like Nintendo who is so respected to do that because one of their major franchises like say, hey, Zelda's just as important too. Let's do
Hmm.
this.
Yeah, and I mean they could like set the standard for other people could be like, well, if Nintendo can do this with one of their biggest franchises, then what's stopping us? And it could open up uh, more doors, I guess.
Like, in your opinion, what would be the negative reaction to it? Like, what kind of blowback would they get? Like, dudes saying, "Oh, we're gonna play a Zelda." Like how? Why is that scary? Like to me, that's like okay. Like, I don't really care about your opinion if you're just mad that you're playing as Zelda. You know, like without an actual critique.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's part of it. I think Nintendo is like, oh, we might lose uh, fans if we switch it up and have Zelda playable. But I mean, I don't know. I try to think about like Zelda fans, and like I feel like Zelda fans would appreciate that. I don't know, like, and maybe yeah, there's one or two that would like you know whine and throw a tantrum, but I mean, were they fans to begin with? Then I mean, if like I don't understand how it would bother a Zelda fan to have the chance to play a Zelda. Like you weren't a Zelda fan to begin with, then, because it's part
Exactly.
of the lore. It's part of it's like it's. I feel like it's the most natural next step that that franchise that Nintendo can do. Like it makes sense. Like I feel like Breath of the Wild broke the mold in terms of exploration of how open world the 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 story not the story the world was, um and it's like, well, what's next? Like what could you possibly do now? And there's your answer. Let's play a Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. The only blowback I would see is from people that are actually really stuck in how things are, or people that actually don't want, generally don't want to play as a female protagonist for whatever reason that they have. I don't know how much of the fan base they take up is probably a minuscule amount, but um, yeah, I would say it's basically on Nintendo to just take that step. I don't think there's a lot financially that's going to affect them if they do that. I think there's like evidence that how they released Breath of the Wild 2 and how it's so different from other French entries and everybody, and that's like one of the best selling games for them, that they can take those steps and change up the formula and people will still be there for them.
Like Nintendo could literally create a game that's like a parallel to Ocarina of Time from Zelda's point of view, and
Oh
it
my
would
gosh,
sell.
dude,
Like
bro.
it would sell. Like Zelda on her journey to becoming chic, and doing all of that. Like that would break records. And
That's
that
all
like
we want.
that's all we want. Like
That
please,
would be sick.
that it's like I just don't get it. Like it's right there, and I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't that a critique though from like I'm not deep into like the Zelda like fandom. Like I've seen there's a lot of active people on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm sure like on other places on Reddit, whatever. Um, I remember reading that there's like there's people that say that like that's like a major problem, and I don't know if it's just like with the specific creator, if it's like Aonuma or Miyamoto or something, that they don't really see like they're not like feminists, you know, and it's understandable because they're older men from Japan.
Hmm.
But dude, let's start the campaign, Ray. You gotta start it. Like
If I could
I'm
give
retweeting at Nintendo every day, so playable Zelda now.
Petition.org.
this podcast will help with it. We gotta more clout means it's easier for our opinions to be seen.
I don't know. I think it's definitely it would be like really cool. And I don't know if I'm stirring the pot here, but it's like I was looking at the updated like list of like software and like the Switch, how many units it sold and all of that. And like Animal Crossing is like up there. Animal Crossing has sold like 33 million copies.
It's ridiculous, yeah. How much it's sold is crazy.
And what like Mario Kart is number 1, right? But like by a
Hmm.
few more million copies. And I feel like Mario Kart is a universal game. It's not really more you know everyone plays it, you know, like
Yeah,
guys and girls and like little kids and everything. Um I feel though that the majority of people who play Animal Crossing are women because they're like have you seen all the cute designs they make?
Yeah.
All of like
Like.
the
Hmm.
the island designs, like the clothing designs that they make. And look at how many like look at how much that game sold. You get me? Like there's an audience. There's an
Yeah.
audience for this. And like Nintendo hasn't been catering to them. And I feel like maybe a Zelda game with playable Zelda would be appealing to them. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Hmm.
I would think so. Like having Animal Crossing as their like re-injection of Nintendo into their lives, they're probably consuming more Nintendo uh, media than ever before. Yeah.
Yeah, think of how many Switches Animal Crossing sold.
Hmm.
We don't want those Switches to sit there, Nintendo. Give us some games that girls can play. I'm not gonna be playing no Monster Hunter. I'm not gonna play Xenoblade.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait,
Let's
hold up, hold up.
I'm
see,
speaking my mind.
check out Xenoblade by the way. Some really good characters in that one.
I think it's not so much the game. I think it's like the style. It's like an RPG game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more of a core gamer kind of appealing game. It's like different systems you have to wrap your head around and things.
Like those turn-based games or not. Okay, if I see a game and if I see those like the action, the item, the all of that stuff, automatically I'm like,
That ain't it.
no.
Yeah.
No, like at least when I'm Link, I can like slash everywhere. I'm like I already told you guys I'm a terrible gamer. Like I have it takes me a long time to do something that might take you guys like seconds. But I really enjoy playing Zelda because it's like casual. It's like just really casual.
I think that the especially like Breath of the Wild, just like it teeters that line between appealing to people that like that kind of action, like me, like trying to maximize stealth and just like try to see all the combos the different weapons can like link into and all that stuff. Like that, I can do that. But if somebody doesn't care about that and just wants to slash around and use the items and just like really enjoy the puzzles, then that's also an option too. Yep. Um, I was gonna bring up a point about you were talking about I guess the story of Zelda, and I was thinking about it, and like I don't think there's been many Zelda games that make a good balance between um, villain presentation and hero presentation, and having it compelling throughout the the narrative. Do you know what I'm getting at or no?
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword
You
seems like
gotta
it
play
would. Yeah.
Skyward Sword.
Dude, yes, I think Skyward Sword is like the strongest.
I
Yeah.
think it's really good because they build on what they started in like Ocarina of Time. I feel like it was their way of making Ocarina of Time and it being the origin of everything because I see so many parallels between that game and Ocarina of Time. But it's like you just I don't want to give spoilers, Ray, but you gotta play it. It's like I think also well obviously you know it's the first Zelda story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like them coming to terms with who they are and their place in the world and their destiny. And like
Ethos.
yes.
Love it.
And then so like the villain I think they did pretty well with the villain with like the build up because you have Garahim and then you have like Demise and I can't remember the story exactly but like from what I've gotten to so far like it's doing pretty well um with just like with the lore it's like good it's so good right
Yeah. Even
this
every.
is just
Uh-huh. Go
I'm
ahead.
biased though I'm
Mm.
completely biased but I'm looking at it and it's like a newfound appreciation for all the other games because you're like wow this is like the beginning you know.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what I'm sure I'm gonna like the story, right? But what's gonna trip me up is that I'm kind of a little not in the mood for Zelda gameplay right now. It's just kind of like swinging your sword and slashing, and there's not really much like there's not much of a it doesn't really engage your brain that much. Like actually fighting the enemies, you know what I mean? And I'm not kind of in the mood for that, so maybe I'll just wait a
Damn
little bit
Ray,
longer.
damn Ray. Did you see there's a tweet going around that it's like um all the enemies in Skyward Sword when Link is approaching and
Oh yeah, I
there's a
saw that.
guy like voguing and that's how it is like you go up to an enemy and automatically they start blocking and then
Oh, okay, okay.
they block in a bunch of like different like directions because you have to swing your sword opposite the way they're blocking so that you can attack them because otherwise you won't be able to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's annoying. Maybe you would like that. I saw a video of some other dude like playing the original Skyward Sword and he was doing like the slashes, right? Because you have the motion controls, and he
Mm-hmm.
was doing like literal backflips, like when Link was doing his backflip,
What the
and
heck?
he was doing like all the motions that Link was doing, and he was like, I'm sure he was trolling, but I'm pretty sure he also was having fun in his own way.
Mm-hmm. It's because like when I think of combat, like my peak like combat encounters would probably be what comes to mind is fighting against the Stalfos in not Breath of the Wild in Ocarina of Time. Like that's the first like legit combat challenge I remember where I actually had to maximize like my knowledge of the fighting mechanics in order to not die. So um, if
I
they could just
think
like not have it, oh go ahead.
I think Skyward Sword improves that a little better.
You think
I
so?
guess like the fights with Girahim, I think come to mind. Um, just because it's very like it's like one on one, it's you
Yes.
and him.
Yep.
So I feel like you would definitely enjoy
Yeah.
those moments, and it's very strategic because it builds on the motion control. So you have to move your sword in a way that okay, I have to beat this guy, so let me move my sword so that I can hit him. Um, and so I think I, I feel like Skyward Sword would appeal to you. Maybe it's not like it won't be your like favorite game or whatever, but I feel like if any Zelda game is going to appeal to you, I feel like it's Skyward Sword. And I think we told you this before.
Yeah,
um,
I
like
didn't really fully believe you guys.
I just didn't want to play it.
Jeez, Ray. Way to listen to us. No
But
friendly
yeah,
advice, I guess.
Because you guys are
but
like
yeah,
really big stands. I'm like, ooh.
that's kind of true. We're really biased.
We are, but there's a lot of like there's a lot of Stalfos that you fight in this game. And then the Lizalfos also, they're so, I mean, to me it's annoying, but I got used to it already, you know? Like the first few that I fought, I was like, okay, y'all are so annoying. But now I'm like, okay, I guess like I'm getting better at it, so I guess that's not that annoying. But the Girahim fights, yes, I agree completely. Like the Girahim fight, I died with Girahim. Okay, like he. Okay, I can't say bad words, but he beat my butt. He beat my butt like really bad. I had to go out and find some fairies, and I didn't even need them the second time around. But whatever.
Hmm.
You doing
Skyward
backflips now?
Sword. Dude, Blackfish with a shiznit.
It took me a long time to figure out that you can still do backflips in this game. Okay, like I just judge me, whatever. Like judge me, I don't care. But I was like, I've been using the Joy Cons, right? And
Mhm.
I don't know what I was doing, but every time, you know, in like tradition, like in Ocarina of Time, like you do the Z targeting and you can do all your little backflips everywhere. And so I was like, I was trying to do that and it wouldn't happen. So I'm like, am I doing something wrong? But I think when you're using the Joy Cons, you actually have to do the motion to like backwards so he can flip.
Oh, that ain't it.
I
I'm.
think, I think, or you press one of the buttons. I can't remember. But
Mhm.
then I tried playing again handheld, and I was able to. I did it like on accident, and I was like, "Oh, that's how you do it."
Dang.
For me,
I
those are.
probably wouldn't
Go.
know either.
For me, those are like kind of like the first things that I that I try to figure out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't pay
Mm-hmm.
attention. Like I'm when it's the whole like, "Oh, this is the instructions. These are the buttons you use." I kind of like zoom through all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why. Like that's why all of the Twilight Princess, like when you would go look for the was it a Stalfos and he would show you all the moves. I
Oh
like
yeah,
never use those moves unless completely necessary.
that hurts me actually.
That's Ocarina of Time, Link. Though he's teaching you.
That actually hurts
I
me.
know, I know, but I'm just really bad. Okay, I told you it takes me like extra effort to do it.
But see, I feel like that's a plus though, because you like absorb those games. You know, since because like since it like you say it takes you time. Like I don't know, like I feel like you have the chance to kind of just take it all in, and I feel like that's why you appreciate those games the way you do, because it's like you spend so much time that it's like I don't know, you appreciate it.
That's right. My 33 hours in Skyward Sword so far are a testament to that.
What?
Guys, I'm freaking out a little bit because the timers on the stream kind of stopped. Let me see if it's still going on the Road Jump Media thing. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can
Let
hear
me
you.
check that the stream is at least still going so I don't have to freaking
All right.
do anything. One second. Well, actually, while I'm doing this, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about this, but we did touch on how Breath of the Wild was different from uh, the previous like mainline Zelda games, how it's less non-linear and gives you more choice basically. Why do you think that Zelda fans didn't really put up much of a like complaints against that? Why wasn't there more of a revolt against? Is it because the um like the premise of Zelda kind of caters to that kind of world design, or what do you guys think about that one?
I think so. I think I don't know. Like I feel like with like Skyrim and like all these games coming out, um, I feel like Zelda fans felt it in their bones that okay, Zelda would fit in this type of game game style gameplay um, play style. Sorry, um, and so I feel like it didn't feel like an abrupt change because I feel like it felt so natural. Like it felt
Mm.
like a smooth, like I don't know, like it made sense, you know. It's like okay, finally, you know, Zelda, you know, it's it's doing this, and it makes it, I don't know, it made sense, like it clicked. Um, I also feel like Legend of Zelda has always been like they've, you know, we were just talking about how they maybe, you know, they don't want to take risks with you know, having Zelda as a playable character or like the main character. Um, and that's true, but I do feel like Legend of Zelda in particular, like they're known for taking risks in other aspects, um, or exploring different things, like Majora's Mask with the whole 3 day thing, and having to rewind time. Like that's something that I don't think any game has explored since. I want to say, maybe I'm wrong, but that's a very interesting um, concept, you know. Um, and then you had a Wind Waker, which is I guess that's like a precursor to this open world idea, um, in the Zelda franchise, and the the very different art style that they used, um, and deciding to create this, you know, ocean, and you explore the ocean concept
Mm.
is also a risk, that they took, um, and it's just I feel like Legend of Zelda kind of for fans and, you know, for people outside of the fan base. Legend of Zelda became this franchise where it's like, oh, if Nintendo's gonna take risks and try something new, it's going to be with Legend of Zelda. Um, and even Ocarina of Time, you know, the lock, what is it called? The target lock. Um, like that's something that Legend of Zelda brought to the gaming world, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like Legend of Zelda became synonymous with, you know, taking risks, and oh, they're gonna try something new, something different. Um, and so I think when Breath of the Wild shifted into this open world, you know, you choose your own path, you know, where you want to go. It wasn't really it was hype, but I don't think people were like mad or angry, like, oh, they're changing, you know, what Legend of Zelda is, because I feel like it was natural, like it we're used to it, like, oh, you know, Legend of Zelda once again trying something different, um, and so yeah, I think that's why I think, which is even more frustrating because it's like, well, you can take risks. Like people have been receptive of this, of you know, of these like changes and these, you know, interesting ideas that you have put out. You know, try to go a little outside of your comfort zone. Right? I'm sure are going to like it.
Hmm. That makes sense, dude. Hmm. Any more thoughts about that before I present something else that came to my head?
The open world.
Yeah, just like how um, the Breath of the Wild open world did not cause really much backlash, even though it was different from previous home console Zeldas.
I feel like there are some people against it, but maybe they're just not as vocal, or like they already bought the game, so Nintendo got their money. Like my brother. um, I feel like, dude, they kind of. I feel like the introduction to the open world was Ocarina of Time, so it was there. Like the seeds had been planted, and then
Hmm.
boom, Breath of the Wild went like full blown. I mean, I think it was one of the coolest parts of Zelda
Hmm.
because I put so many hours into that game, like almost 300 hours. Like I don't think any other game on my Switch except like Animal Crossing got there.
Hmm.
Um, it's just really enjoyable, just being able, we had mentioned before, you want to like be part of the environment without having to focus on the story, and you really get to explore Hyrule. So that's like the aspect that I really liked of it.
I see. For me, it would have been okay if there was like a little bit of like optional story, like a quest giver or some kind of small guidance, just like having me out there in the open world with just like free reign. It wasn't like exactly what I was looking for personally.
I can see that. I think there were side quests,
Hmm.
but they felt a little impersonal. I guess that's something that I missed in this one, in Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild.
Hmm.
like Majora's Mask side quests are elite, and I feel like if they could incorporate that level of like emotional investment into the side quests of Breath of the Wild, um, I feel like that would also be very, very good.
That's so funny that you say that because Ray had mentioned before that it was like one of his least favorite games because of the puzzles, right?
Which one?
I
Breath
don't,
Majora's Mask?
yeah. Like, I
I
haven't gone
actually.
back to that
Okay.
game as much as I go back to Ocarina of Time.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's because of the story, like, it's just so heavy. But the side quests
Hmm.
are really good. And I think it's because of that, because of like the emotional impact. But
Hmm.
I it really takes me a while to go back to that game, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very heavy game, but like I always like literally whenever I'm thinking or planning on going back to Majora's Mask, like the first thing I always think of is Cafe and Anju's story,
And juice.
and
Yeah.
it's that, and like I get excited, like oh, I get to reunite them and go through that whole thing again, and I don't know, it's a masterpiece. Yeah. It's one of my favorite games,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wish. Well, yeah, I see your point too, Ray, regarding that, like more. But I mean, in a way, I guess you can, as a counter argument, you can say like this is a destroyed Hyrule. Like people died. Like these are just the survivors of whatever calamity Ganon did. Um, so it makes sense that maybe there's a lack of community, just because well there is no community. Everyone's just kind of spread out. Um, and so I think Breath of the Wild is, I guess when you think about it, it does kind of, it gives you a sense of, I don't know, like it's like freedom, and and this aspect of this open world. It's really nice and it's cool, but there's also like this feeling of like sadness, like oh, it's this huge open vast world, but it's just me, and I'm just roaming around by myself. There's a bit of a bittersweet
Hmm.
thing
Yeah.
there that I think it, and maybe that was their intention. It's like again, you know, Link has been asleep for what is it, 1,000 years, 100 years, 1,000 years.
Hmm.
Um, like Hyrule was destroyed. Like nobody saved him. The champions died, um, and so it's just this kind of like it's very bittersweet.
Right. Yeah, and I do think it's important for the creators to stay true to their vision. I mean, you're not gonna love every game, so if if I'm sure that's what they wanted to convey, what you were talking about, and they did that really well. So I can't say change the game because I didn't like this certain part. So it's just something that either A, I learned to like, maybe I do, maybe I won't, but yeah, I'm starting to see more of the value of the the desolation that you feel as Link in Breath of the Wild. Okay, okay. So we're about 20 minutes away from when we usually end the podcast. Do you guys have any suggestions on what we should talk about Zelda wise before we start to wrap things up? Anything you wanted to talk about?
Didn't you have another question?
Uh, what was it about? mm, Not really. No. If I did, it's not of much consequence.
I can't talk about Skyward Sword because you fools haven't touched it.
We played it though.
It's not the same. You haven't played it on Switch, so it's not valid.
I mean, those quality screenshots you send us though of the oversized heads, great content.
I know. I love the characters in Skyward Sword. Like they're so weird.
Yeah.
Um, I have more screenshots that I have taken, so
Coming up, coming soon.
coming soon.
Um,
Subscribe and
well,
you'll see them.
I mean, I guess I have a question for
Sure.
Ika-san now. Because I mean, you were talking about how you found like a newfound appreciation for this game, and I mean, you played the Wii version, and now you're playing this, definitive edition, and I know like in the Zelda fandom, Skyward Sword is considered like one of the worst games. Um, like, how do you feel now? Like playing this game now, and I don't know how you felt before about Skyward Sword, but is it? And you sort of like hinted that you appreciate it more. Like, do you think it's like what are your thoughts about Skyward Sword?
I just think like I don't know if like it's the same thing that Ray has mentioned, but like literally gameplay has so much to do. Like I get it now because I did not enjoy it on the Wii like at all. I remember it was like such a chore, and I was like, ugh, like I want to play, but I don't want to do all this swinging. Like I don't want to. I don't want
Swing it,
to. Yeah.
Right.
that
Yeah.
that twang.
Clip that, Ray. No, but oh, like how on the Wii did you needed like a little bar, right?
You needed an
Yeah,
attachment,
we
yeah.
had to buy the Motion Plus, I think, something like that.
And
So
then like for the Wii, like the sensor bar,
wait, so
Oh
you
yeah,
have
Ray,
to.
did you play Skyward Sword on the Wii?
I did not.
Ah, so you don't understand the pain. Well, it was very annoying, and I think that just like ruined the whole experience, honestly, because I just don't remember the game. I do not like. I feel I can't. I don't know. My brother says it was the first Zelda game that I beat before him, but I'm like, how? I don't remember this at all. Like, I don't know if it was like I picked up one of his save files and I would play, because I do remember playing it. I do remember a lot of the little side quests, but like the overall story, I'm just like, oh wow, this is like new, this is like big. I do remember some of the bigger elements though, of course, like Impa's role in the story, um, like a lot of the like, well, the stuff in the beginning, of course. I'm pretty sure I spent a lot of time in the beginning because I think that was also like a major thing with the Wii version. Like it took a long time to get into the actual story. Like you had to do all the stuff in Skyloft, and it was like okay, but it wasn't like wow amazing. Like it was really slow at the beginning, and I feel like I don't know why it just felt faster and like easier on the Switch,
Hmm.
but I've like getting into the actual like the story, like the origins, because that's what I really like about the actual game, like the lore in the game as well, like all the legends that they talk about. Um, that's my favorite part. But also Girahim, as much as disgusting as he is, I don't know why I started to hate him because like when we would play Hyrule Warriors, my brother always wanted to be Girahim, and I hated him. But he is funny. He is like hilarious. Like he is a good Zelda villain. Like he's just so petty and he's so hateful. And like the things that he says to Link, it's like, why? Why are you like this? So I think he's just like a really like funny villain with like character, and you actually he's not just like, oh, I'm big and bad. like you're gonna die, you know? Like no, like there's
Yeah.
lines and lines of dialogue.
Hmm.
I just yeah, I think I don't know, I'm just appreciating it more. I also think like going back to all of these games when I played them as a kid, it was just like something to do and it was fun. And a lot of the bigger aspects like I got it and I enjoyed them. But like playing the games that I play as a kid now, I'm like, whoa, this is like nice. This is like a really nice story, you know? I mean, it just hits you. It just hits different at this old age.
That's
I
awesome.
think,
That's awesome.
I think Jose would. I think like the Zelda in this one is good as well. Like just her like having to face everything, like her sacrifice in this game. I was like shook. I was like almost crying, and I was in the living room playing. I was like playing it handheld, and I didn't want my mom to see me all crying into a video game. But the story so far is really good. That's
Hmm.
all I'm gonna say.
Honestly, I kind of want to play the game now.
Yeah, me too.
Go play it right now.
Yeah, and I was asking because, like, um, yeah, because that's like I'm excited to go into it and see what I think about it. Because I think I had like it was very similar. My experience with it. Um, like I don't remember a lot from that game, and even like music. Sometimes I'm like, what music came from this game. I mean, you have the what was it called? The I'm blanking on it. The goddess or something, no? Uh-huh. Anyways, but and yeah, I think like what you said. I think the fact that like the motion control, right? It was very. It took away from that experience back then, and yeah, like sometimes I see screenshots or clips from the game, and I'm like, oh, that happened in that game, and like I remember now, like, and I remember that was like a really cool, and like the other day, I was thinking about like Bruce, like his story arc. I remember like I really liked the story arc and how he started as this. Well, and I don't want to spoil it out, but he was this character, and then by the end, it was a different character, and it's so
Yes.
cool, and like I don't know, and like just thinking about it and finally being able to play it again, like I feel like I'm gonna appreciate it more than I did before, because I think I'm more uh, like I played. I feel like I played more Zelda now, and to see like certain things and like story wise and character wise, and I don't know, like I'm really excited.
That's so funny that you say that. I was just thinking about that. I was like, wow, the Goose character development is so good.
It's so good.
It is. And I read that Skyward Sword is like the first Zelda to use like an orchestra. And like it's really good. Like the music in Skyward Sword is really good. Like it has a really good score. I feel like Ray would appreciate that.
Hmm.
So many things that are
Right, you
checking
need
my boxes of things that I like in
Come on,
games,
Ray.
dude.
You just
you
you
Ah,
need
just
to
do
play it.
it. You bit the you bit the bait with Animal Crossing. Do it with Skyward
and I
Sword.
got burned.
What's
We had so many hours of enjoyment with Animal Crossing last summer. Like, don't even front. Come on.
It was fun. I can't even front. It was. Thankfully,
do
I
it
have
one more time?
friends.
Yeah,
Do it one more time. Is that what you said?
yeah. With Skyward Sword.
Oh, okay. I'm already invested in Zelda, so you guys made really good points here. Um, Probably when I get my own Switch system, that'll be the introductory game, most likely for break it in.
Man, that's okay, Ray. Well, you're getting a new Switch for Metroid, so I'm okay with that then.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't planning on it, but I might have to now. Freaking Nintendo, man.
Yeah, how are you gonna play
Yeah. Man.
Coming out.
Amanda Bynes, man.
it? Iconic.
All right. Well, we have a little bit of time left. Do you guys want to any final thoughts that you want to share before I do the outro?
Mm,
Mm,
Nintendo, we want playable Zelda.
Cosign.
yeah. Innovate. Don't let it become stagnant.
Now hold on.
I'm not saying you know, it's going there, but I don't know. I feel like they need to. They have they have the ability to do things. I think.
Yes.
Mr. Jose, any final thoughts?
Um, no. Can't wait for Breath of the Wild 2. Um, I, I don't know. I'm, and I mean, going back to Breath of the Wild 2, I'm looking forward to getting to know what the game really is about. Like, we really haven't had anything. Like, it's so bizarre that they gave us I don't know how many teasers already, and we still don't know anything about the game. Um, and so, I mean, that's exciting. Uh, and I don't know. We'll see what they do. Regarding like the whole stagnant thing, I don't think Zelda has ever been stagnant. Um, and that's what I kind of was getting at about them being known for taking risks. Like I feel like they always switch it up somehow. Um, and I think in Breath of the Wild too, there might they're probably incorporating Skyloft, like Cassandra said, which is really smart. It's like they knew Skyward Sword was coming out, and Breath of the Wild 2, soon after that. So it was very smart on their part. Um, and I don't know. I'd like to think that, I mean, Age of Calamity came out as well, and it's like all these other games that I feel like somehow are contributing to the storyline for Breath of the Wild 2, or like are setting the stage for Breath of the Wild 2. Um, and so I'm not worried about Breath of the Wild 2 being a bad game. I'm really excited to see what they bring, and I hope it's good, exciting stuff.
Dang. Jose, that was really well said, man. Super well said.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir. All right. So that was our Zelda discussion for, man, kicking off August pretty much, or week into August. I think we had a really good discussion. What do you guys think?
Yes.
I'm always just trolling, and Jose's like so eloquent.
What? No, I feel like Cassandra. Yeah, I feel like you're a really good speaker. I don't know. I feel like I'm just like um. Uh, but it was fun. I don't know. Uh, Zelda. We can talk about Zelda for hours, and
Yes.
just it's. I don't know. Well, sorry, I don't know about if that applies to you, Ray, but uh, it's just it's
I
such
can
a
hang.
it's such an integral part of my childhood that it's just like I don't know. I could go on and on and on, but
Oh, really? Then how come you guys always bow
Oh
out of
man.
Zelda Monopoly?
Monopoly is a completely different franchise. People in the comments, please roast Cassandra right now.
What did I
Um,
say? Nintendo has all my Zelda money, okay? Like,
And
I'm
Hasbro.
waiting for the Zelda Switch. I'm waiting for it so patiently.
it's kind of mind blowing that they haven't released anything.
I
Well,
know.
just the Joy Cons, just the Joy Cons, but it's like we want the cool design too, and the
Exactly.
dock.
I need it. I need it to survive. Please, Nintendo.
Come.
I know you're listening to this podcast.
Aluma, Aluma-san.
Please, playable Zelda and the Zelda Switch. That's all we're asking for. And then a sheet game.
Sheet game for little old me.
Then a
Yeah.
tingle.
And yeah, then a tingle game.
His backstory.
All right. Well, this was a fun time. We have been Roll Jump Media. We do this podcast. I can't even say every week right now because trying to get things back on track. But we do this podcast. We talk about video game news topics that we find that are pertinent to us in the video game industry as a whole, and just our experiences with video games and what we like about them, what we're playing, all that good stuff. So if you want to be a part of our community, you can follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook as well. And we also have a official website that you can go to, rolljumpmedia.com, and that's where we post a lot of our content as well. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day, have a great weekend, and all that good stuff. We will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.